shadow leader of the House of Commons. What will you be by the end of the day?
Oh, well, the country is in a serious mess and we've got so many problems ahead of us. I know that what Keir will have been focused on is choosing the top team that is going to help him to fulfil those 5 missions that he set out. I mean, goodness, doesn't the country need it? Just today we're talking about schools. One of the 5 missions is to make sure that no child is left behind, that we give every child the opportunity to thrive.
Come on to schools. What job
All
do you
of
fancy?
that. I want to serve in whatever position Keir chooses to put me in. The Labour Party, in my view, is the single greatest party that the world has ever known. I would like to serve in a Keir Starmer Labour cabinet, if that is what Keir would like. But I will serve in whatever position he thinks I'll be used.
I said to the team this morning, that's exactly what you would say, word for word. Do you not fancy one of the great shadow offices of state?
Genuinely, all I want is a Labour government, Kay. I mean, I think that it can't come a moment too soon. We've seen absolute chaos over the summer. You know, every single one of the Tories' weeks has gone horribly wrong. We had a crime week in which a former Tory leader announced breaking crime.
Not talking about the government.
And we need
Why
a Labour
do you need
government.
a reshuffle?
We need a Labour government and we need to make sure that Keir feels that he's got the right team around him for the circumstances we're in now that can take us through the general election and into government if we're fortunate enough to be given that privilege.
Why do you need a reshuffle, do you think?
I mean, I think over the course of time, events change, don't they? We've got new challenges ahead of us. We've had the terrible Tory chaos of the mortgage crisis, the way that the economy has been treated. We've got challenges ahead of us. But, I mean, goodness, we've got sewage in the rivers. We've got school roofs crumbling. We've got a mental health crisis. And none of these problems are being tackled by this government. They are just drifting without any sign of a plan whatsoever. So we need to have the team around Keir that is ready to take on those challenges, to give our kids that great future, tackle climate change. Keir will make those decisions. He will have been thinking about it very, very carefully. If we're going to tackle climate change, if we're going to give children a great future, we need Keir to feel like he's got the right team around him. We need the right people in post.
Are you going to commit to a multi-billion-pound spending plan for new schools?
Well, do you know what? When we came in 1997 to form a new government, we had to pick up a mess in the school estate then. There were buckets under leaky roofs at that point. Now, that Building Schools for the Future plan, do you know, if it had been continued instead of cancelled by the Tory government in 2010, all the secondary schools that are currently being under investigation, they would have been dealt with. We would have had the refurb
So you'll reinstate
So by
it then?
2020, well, unfortunately, as of today, we still don't actually know the full extent of the damage. We still don't have a list published by the government. I do hope that we have one soon. If we don't get one voluntarily by the government today, we will push them to that on Wednesday in our vote. Now, once they've done that, we might be in a position to be able to say just what the damage is. But, you know, I really wonder...
Speaking more generally than that, I'm asking you about whether you're going to reinstate the multi-billion-pound spending plan for new schools.
Do we really think that the Tory government is going to let schools continue that long? I mean, a general election could be 14 months away. Are they going to do nothing between now and then?
But
because we don't know what the damage is.
I'm asking what you guys are going to do.
And I don't know what we're going to do because we don't know if even today the full scale of the problem. The first thing we would do would be to come clean with parents, staff and pupils and publish the list. Only then can we start to assess exactly how much is going to need doing and by when. We wouldn't have cancelled the Building Schools for the Future programme. That was investing in our children's future, and the Tories chose to cancel it. Now, this is a priority for any government.
To reinstate it.
We don't know what state the economy is going to be in, and nobody, no parent, no child, no teacher would expect us.
You can't criticise the government
yes,
for not building schools if you're not going to say actually what you will do is reinstate that building plan.
They cancelled the Building Schools for the Future plan under Rishi Sunak as Chancellor. Funding for school refurbishment was halved in 2021, by which time they already knew about the RAC. Yes, I can hold them responsible for those two things because those are choices and politics about choices. They chose to cancel Building Schools for the Future.
And you choose, as a Labour government, to reinstate it.
And when we get our hands on the economy and we can actually see what mess they've left us, and when we can see what the state of the damage is, we'll be able to assess what we can do. In the meantime...
We always remember that letter from, was it Leah Byrne, who said there's no money left?
We do have approach which I think people in the public trust, which is that we will not make unfunded spending commitments. That's the right thing to do because at the moment, without growth, without a decent level of growth, we don't have the public finances that we should have. Last autumn's disastrous Tory mini-budget has absolutely decimated public finances even further than before, as well as personal finances and mortgages. Now, if we hadn't had that, we'd be in a different position.
So the Education Secretary this morning said that she's not worried about deadly asbestos being exposed by crumbling concrete. The leader of the Education Union says that he is. What's Labour's position?
Well, I think everybody should be worried about asbestos, and I think it's really quite extraordinary of the Secretary of State to say that and to be so cavalier with people's fears. There are ways of treating and managing the risk from asbestos, but just dismissing parents' very reasonable fears, which they will have today. I wonder how many parents really trust what the government is saying today, given that they've had months to come clean about the reinforced concrete problem. Why would anybody trust them today on this? I find it absolutely staggering that Gillian Keegan appears, the Secretary of State, Rishi Sunak's Secretary of State, appears to be just so weak on getting a grip on this problem that parents are left in the dark for yet another day.
What about this attack ad? Is it completely necessary, the one having a pop at Rishi Sunak saying he doesn't care about kids?
He's had years to fix this problem. As Chancellor, he halved the budget for school refurbishment. As Prime Minister, he's known that this was a problem. He had the chance to vote with the Labour Party's motion back in May and actually support coming clean with parents. We could be months.
Do you think your child's school should be safe? Rishi Sunak doesn't. I mean, of course he does.
It's a question every parent will be asking today, considering that they will know that Rishi Sunak's had this information for some time and that even today his Education Secretary has still not published the list.
But you don't think the Prime Minister's thinking, you know what, I don't care, kids go to school and it's not safe?
It's a valid question for everybody to ask, because why would he not take action? I don't understand. I don't understand why they cancelled the Building Schools for the Future programme. We knew that there were 10,000 schools that had been built, school buildings built before 1941, that would come to the end of their design life in 2020. Why would any government that cares about children's future cancel that programme? First-class education needs a first-class building to work, to learn in, and children should be going back to school today excited to learn, thrilled to learn, and instead what they see is that the government didn't even bother to tell them what was going on in their school. Over the summer, in the previous few months, in the previous few years, that beam in a school in Kent fell down in 2018. Now, sadly, there was a Tory government in charge then, there's a Tory government in charge now. A Prime Minister can choose. Politics is about choices. It's about giving people hope for the future. And today, for that child who's supposed to be going back to school, where is that? Where has that gone? It's a valid question to ask Rishi Sunak. Why haven't you got a grip?
Fancy shadow education secretary?
I think Bridget's doing a fantastic job, as she's shown over the weekend. And I think we've got some great people in the Parliamentary Labour Party. Keir will make that decision, and I'm absolutely certain that he will make decisions that are based on what's best for the country.
OK. Chat to you again soon, hopefully.
Yes.
Great to see
Thank you.
Thanks
Lovely
so much
to see you too.
indeed.